Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Danny the Miracle Man Jacobs. According to Virgil Hunter, a renowned legendary trainer, former trainer of Andre Ward, Virgil Hunter had some very interesting words, when he was talking about the Danny Jacobs versus Canelo Alvarez fight. He basically stated that that's a 50-50 fight, could go either way because of the rehydration clause. This was according to FightHype.com as well. And because of the rehydration clause, it makes it even more of an even fight because Danny Jacobs won't have a massive size advantage over Canelo Alvarez. And, if Danny Jacobs can box beautifully from the outside, then he can make the fight much more easier and much more winnable to beat Canelo Alvarez. But the interesting thing that Virgil Hunter stated about this particular fight is he doesn't see it going the distance. Now, that's an odd question coming from Virgil Hunter, so I went and thought about this, and I thought, elite level competition at its highest level, and you do not see the fight going the distance. Now, typically a fight that doesn't go the distance at this level is because the guy is just not as great on defense, is getting hit with shots that he's not going to see. And so when I look at Canelo and I look at Danny Jacobs, both of these guys are elite level boxers. So I can't imagine that either one of these guys are going to get hit with a shot that they just don't see. Now, typically it's boxing. Anything can happen. Don't get me wrong. But most likely, I don't see either one of these guys getting knocked out for the simple fact that, Canelo Alvarez is elite level, defensively. Could he get hurt at some point in the fight? It's possible. Because even with the rehydration limit clause, Danny Jacobs is still a huge guy. He's still a big puncher. But the fact that Canelo Alvarez has already shown that he can take the biggest and best shots from the hardest puncher in the division in Triple G, that showed me a lot. But also Triple G didn't land as cleanly against Canelo as Danny Jacobs will be able to. So we have to factor that in. Danny Jacobs is an elite level boxer. He's going to be able to hit Canelo with shots that Triple G just couldn't hit. So this fight will look nothing like Canelo Triple G. A lot of guys got that fight mixed up thinking that, oh, this isn't a 50-50 fight. Canelo should breeze through. No, it's going to be a very difficult fight. It's 50-50, could go either way. I'm favoring Canelo. I'm going on record as having him as the guy that I'm going to have to favor because I feel like Canelo just checks more boxes than Danny Jacobs at this point. But that doesn't mean that Danny Jacobs cannot win this fight. It's a very, very close fight. And so when you look at Canelo Alvarez and you look at Danny Jacobs, Danny's going to be able to hit Canelo with a lot of shots. If Danny can work the body of Canelo, that could change things. But even going to the body of Canelo, you saw what happened when Triple G went to his body. He got countered each and every time, made Triple G not want to go downstairs because it was so difficult. Danny Jacobs is much longer, taller, faster, than Triple G. So he's going to be able to do things that Triple G just simply couldn't. As far as a knockout in this type of fight, I just don't see it happening because both of these guys are top level fighters. But if a knockout did come and if something did happen, the only guy that I would have to lean towards probably getting hurt, most likely would be Danny Jacobs because we've seen him get stopped before, even though I believe it was an anomaly against a Dmitry Pirog because of the cancer, because of his grandmother passing. But also he was dropped against Triple G. Even though I feel like that wasn't a legitimate drop, it appeared to me to be more of a flash knockdown. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Danny Jacobs seems to be a little more susceptible to, big shots from these guys. And then also, against, if you look at Canelo Alvarez, he's going to be able to counter Danny Jacobs. We've seen Danny Jacobs get hit against Sergey Deverenchenko with a couple good shots, and he stood toe-to-toe. So there's going to be moments in this fight where you see Danny and Canelo stand toe-to-toe. Can Danny take those shots from Canelo flush? And because he's kind of looking at Canelo Alvarez as just being a smaller guy, he's not recognizing Canelo Alvarez's power. I think that's one thing that Danny Jacobs is kind of overlooking is Canelo Alvarez's power. He looks at it and says, he says, I'm the bigger man. In all of his interviews, he says, I'm the bigger guy. We know you're the bigger guy, but there's a reason Canelo was able to keep a guy off of him that you had a hell of a time trying to keep off of you. And it's because Canelo Alvarez has great reflexes, great timing, great skill, great composure. And, Canelo Alvarez is a problem for anyone he faces. So I think it's a very good, interesting fight. But if the fight has to end in a knockout, I think the only likely person that would most likely get hurt stopped or dropped would be Danny Jacobs, but by no means is that my prediction. I think it's a 50-50 fight, a close fight, and I can see Canelo Alvarez winning a 12-round decision. Once again, unbiased as always, it's the Ibfp. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.